Imagine opening a dusty book, bound in leather, its pages thick with time. Inside, clipped headlines, theater stubs, dried violets, and handwritten notes in faded ink. This wasn't just a hobby. In 1905, scrapbooking was a deeply personal form of storytelling, memory keeping, and emotional expression, especially for women. Long before smartphones and social media, scrapbooks were the original timelines of a life. And in the early 1900s, they weren't just decorative. They were declarations. Today, we open the pages of 1905 and step into the intimate world of scrapbooks, where every pressed flower and curling corner tells a story. The rise of scrapbooking. In the Gilded Age, the year 1905 sits at the edge of the Gilded Age. Industrialization had brought not only new jobs, but also new paper goods. Lithography flourished. Color printing became more affordable. And department stores were bursting with catalogs, trade cards, and labels that were simply too beautiful to throw away. Scrapbooking emerged as a way to make sense of it all. Women, especially, would collect paper ephemera from everyday life. Sunday school cards, sewing pattern inserts, die-cut valentines. For many, it was a form of silent autobiography. In this time, education for girls was on the rise. And with it came a culture of sentiment. To scrapbook was to be thoughtful, even poetic. Some pages were arranged like visual poems, a lace doily beside a photograph, a ribbon pinned beside a prayer. One popular trend, saving candy wrappers, especially from bonbons or chocolates gifted during courtship. A candy wrapper could mean love. The tools and materials scrapbooks of 1905 weren't pre-made albums from the craft store. Most were blank ledgers, old school books, or reused catalogs. Pages were thick, often linen or rag-based, designed to withstand paste and time. Glue was homemade or store-bought mucilage, applied with tiny brushes. Scissors were heavy and dull by modern standards, and the art of cutting was practiced with care. Die cuts from German manufacturers were prized. Think embossed birds, gilded cherubs, or seasonal scenes. American ephemera included cigar bands, cigar box labels, and even bits of fabric from sewing projects. It was common to include handwritten captions, often written in elegant cursive or with a fountain pen. Some albums read like diaries with entries describing the weather, a picnic, or a visit from a friend. Who kept scrapbooks and why? Scrapbooking was especially beloved by middle-class women, schoolgirls, and young brides. It was considered a genteel pursuit, quiet, delicate, creative. Young women documented romances, engagements, and weddings with paper keepsakes. Mothers kept baby locks of hair tied with silk ribbon. Students clipped articles, sports team photos, or report cards. But scrapbooks weren't just for joy. Some were made in grief. Pages might hold mourning cards, dried funeral flowers, or clippings of obituaries. Scrapbooking in 1905 gave women a way to control the narrative of their lives. At a time when their voices were limited in public, they spoke loudly in the pages of their private albums. Cultural influences in everyday life. 1905, America was full of optimism and change. Theodore Roosevelt was president. Automobiles were appearing in cities. Postcards had exploded in popularity, and many were lovingly pasted into scrapbooks. Children collected trade cards from soap and cereal boxes. These vibrant cards often featured animals, colonial scenes, or idealized women. Ephemera mirrored the ideals of the time: family, virtue, industry. Even celebrities of the era found their way into scrapbooks. Sarah Bernhardt, the French actress, was a popular figure. Her posters and playbills were prized. So were images of President Roosevelt, suffragettes, and World's Fair memorabilia. The scrapbook was not only a personal archive, but also a reflection of what mattered to society. Whether a clipping about an eclipse, a sewing pattern, or a bit of local gossip, each edition captured the era, the emotional weight of paper. What were scrapbooks like in 1905? They were tender, layered, quietly radical. They held the hopes of a new bride, the sorrow of a lost child, the joy of a spring day. They were kept under pillows, tucked into trunks, passed from mothers to daughters. To flip through one now is to hear voices in lace and glue, in pencil and paste. And for anyone who loves the poetry of old paper, 1905 was a golden age of heartfelt fragments. Memory, then, wasn't stored in the cloud. It lived between thick pages, stitched by hand and heart. So next time you see a scrap of yellowed paper or a faded photograph, remember, it may have once been someone's entire world.